will be going over the agenda for tonight. Also, if you can change slides. Lovely. Okay, perfect. All right, so first I'll be doing our opening introductions, and then we're going to have Kyle from PSAP talk about some upcoming opportunities with CPA Ontario. And then we're going to be going through our 4 speakers for the evening, which we're really excited to have you guys join us. And if you guys have any questions throughout the event, feel free to leave them in the chat, and we'll get to them at the end for our Q&A session. Lovely. All right, so a little bit about us. For anyone who doesn't know, the Accounting Association, we are the connection between the accounting profession and the students at Ontario Tech University. We recently rebranded to the Ontario Tech Accounting Association. Some people might know us as the OAA opposed to the OTAA. And like always, we always want to thank our sponsors. There's some sponsors we have throughout the year, including CPA Ontario, Baker Tilly, Part-Time CFO, BDO, KPMG, BitSock, and the Ontario Tech Student Union. So some upcoming events that we have, just to go over some housekeeping. Our CPA night is going to be November 16th. So that's our big networking event for the year. So if you guys are looking to network with some of the biggest companies in Ontario, registration for that event will be going out tomorrow. So we highly encourage you guys to attend. And then at the end of November, November 23rd, we are going to be having a CPA and CFA panel event. So we welcome you guys to come to that. All right, so to begin, we're going to be having Kyle, our Board of Ambassadors from CPA Ontario, give a tiny presentation about some upcoming opportunities. Over to you, Kyle.
Hello, everyone. All right, just. All right, you can see my screen okay and hear me? Maybe. Good to go? Yep.
Yeah, you're good to go.
Awesome. So, let me see. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Kyle, and I'm one of the Board of Ambassadors reps with CPA Ontario, along with Ilsa at Ontario Tech. Today, I'm going to talk to you about the PSAP program that CPA Ontario runs. As Board of Ambassador reps, our focus is helping people progress towards their CPA, and the PSAP program is a really great tool we have to do that. So what is PSAP? PSAP is organized by CPA Ontario. It stands for the Post-Secondary Ambassador Program, and it helps students build soft skills and build their personal network. In talking to employers, you might find out that really a degree isn't enough to kind of get you into the accounting profession. A lot of employers are looking for soft skills and people with networking skills, so they know they can talk to clients. And PSAP kind of helps bridge that gap for students. With a PSAP membership, you'll have exclusive access to networking events and workshops. There is a membership fee of $10, but I'm telling you it's 100% worth it. My first experience with PSAP was last year. I joined and I attended the Chartered for Finance conference, which happened last February and will be happening again this February. I got to connect with a ton of CPAs who gave me great advice. It really helped me build my networking skills and also gain confidence in networking. And yeah, it really had a positive impact on me, and I'm sure it can for you as well if you join the program. So just a few of our upcoming events. We have a sustainability challenge coming up. The deadline to sign up for that one is November 9th. It's teams of 2 to 4, and you're given 3 days to work on a case related to sustainability, which is a really pressing issue right now and one that I'm sure lots of us will face in our careers. And there's even a $2,000 prize for the top team. So that's a really great one to get signed up for. On the 17th, we also have a Power BI workshop. Power BI, for those of you who don't know, is a data analytics software used by a ton of businesses nowadays. It helps present information in a way that's a lot more readable to users, and lots of businesses use it. So I would encourage you to attend that as well. And finally, we have a financial literacy slaying your taxes workshop coming up on the 25th. That one will kind of give you an intro on how to do your taxes on your own. And of course, these aren't the only events. We have a ton more coming up. If you'd like to join us at some of these events, visit cpaontario.ca/events. It's the first link on there, Post-Secondary Ambassador Program. It's really easy to sign up. And of course, if you're not convinced yet or you have questions about the CPA, myself and Ilsa, you can contact us by email or LinkedIn, both linked on the screen here, and follow us on our social media. And yeah, I think that is all I have to say.
Beautiful. Thank you for that, Kyle. So I'll be passing it over to Ilsa, our VP of Events, and she'll be introducing our first speaker for the evening.
So I will be introducing our first speaker for the evening, and let me just share my tab. There we go. Okay, so our first speaker is Clarissa Anderson. So she'll be talking about work and life balance, and she's the talent attraction specialist at KPMG, and she's also this campus recruiter for the Greater Toronto areas, which is inclusive of our school, Ontario Tech. So Clarissa, whenever you're ready, I'll stop presenting right now, and you can start speaking.
Great, thank you so much, Ilsa. So I will just present my screen. So let me know if everybody can see it all right. Can everyone see it okay?
Yes, we can all see it.
Amazing. Okay, well, thank you so much, Hannah and Ilsa, for organizing this event. And thanks for inviting me. And thanks for that grand introduction. Really appreciate it. I'm really excited to be here and talk a little bit about, wellness, mental health, and what we do at KPMG around this topic, specifically as it relates to the accounting industry and, how you can have a work-life balance and still work in a Big Four. So really excited to talk a little bit about that today. So with that being said, I thought I'd just kick the session off talking a little bit about one of our key mottos at KPMG. So we like to say, bring your whole self to work. So this is a really important motto for us because it really encompasses a lot of aspects about inclusivity, mental health, mental wellness, and being accepted for who you are. And I think, when we talk about wellness, it really encompasses both physical and mental well-being. And if you can, go to work feeling like you can be yourself and be accepted for who you are, I think that really contributes a lot to your mental well-being. But we also have a lot of programs that look after, both the physical and mental health. And yeah, so I really just want to talk about, what we have at the firm that we offer, how, our employees manage really busy times, stressful times. Obviously in the accounting industry, specifically in audit and tax, there are certain times of year that are a lot busier than others. So how do our employees manage through those busy times? And what kind of resources and support do we have at the firm to really support you as an employee to get through all of that? So bring your whole self to work really is our key inclusion and diversity strategy, as well as our wellness strategy at the firm. So it really encompasses 3 key pillars. So building an inclusive culture, creating a mentally healthy workplace, which includes a lot of different things, which I'll go over in a little bit, and also being leaders in the community and kind of spreading that awareness outside of the firm as well. So those are our 3 key pillars to bringing your whole self to work. And I'll talk a little bit about the different programs and resources and support that we have at KPMG, which will enable you to really flourish and really kind of encompass all of that wellness stuff. So the first thing I wanted to talk a little bit about is our people networks. And this is really important, I think, to our, wellness and inclusivity at the firm. And it really, touches upon that first and second pillar, actually all the pillars, I guess, but I would say, it really helps bring people together in building an inclusive culture. And with that, by joining a people network, that could really help, your mental well-being, feeling connected to others, and having those commonalities with other people. So I really like to highlight that we have so many different people networks at the firm that you can join. And you can also create a new people network as well. So you don't have to just be stuck with the ones that already exist. If there's something that you're really passionate about, you can actually create your own people network as well. So these are just some of our people networks. We actually have many others in addition to these, but I just wanted to highlight some of the ones that we do have at the firm that you can join. So we have Pride at KPMG, and this is really an inclusive work environment that allows LGBTQ plus people to bring their authentic self to work and be supported. And the Pride Network is something that we're really proud of. We were actually planning on marching in the Pride Parade this year for the first time with our Pride Network, but unfortunately, I think because of COVID and all of that restrictions, it didn't happen, but we're really looking forward to hopefully next year being able to do that. But yeah, our Pride Network is something we're really proud of. We also have different networks, for our Black professionals. We also have an Indigenous Peoples Network. We have a Women in Tech Network, Special Families and Friends Network. So everything is really unique and kind of based upon, whether that be, faith-based networks, Indigenous networks for women and professionals. So there's so many different networks that you can join if there's anything that sticks out to you. And all of these networks are really great because they organize events, whether that be internally within the firm, but as well in the community too. So it's really a great way to get involved and be connected with others and, really feel like you're making an impact as well. So I think this really is a big part of wellness is, finding your niche and your group of people that you feel connected with and having those social connections. So I always like to highlight that we have these available at the firm. Always, so you can always meet new people and stay connected for those causes that you care about. And, I really wanted to also highlight, what we're doing in the mental health space specifically as well, because I know, mental health is really, really important, just as important as our physical health. And we have a lot of really great initiatives going on in terms of our mental health. So firstly, I just wanted to highlight that we actually do have a chief mental health officer at KPMG. So that might be kind of a new term or something new that you may not have heard of before. But really, the role of the chief mental health officer is really to reduce the stigma surrounding mental illness, raise awareness of all the different resources and support and tools that they have at the firm for employees, and really ensure that everybody is supported, whether that be yourself, a team member, a colleague, or a family member that is dealing with issues related to mental health. So our chief mental health officer is Denis Trottier, and he is actually, he used to be a partner at KPMG. He's now retired, but he has a really interesting story as well, having dealt with his own mental health challenges, throughout his lifetime. He's very passionate about mental health and spreading that awareness and ending the stigma around mental health. So he's really dedicated to kind of leading the charge on KPMG's mental health strategy and support systems within the firm. So something that we really are really proud of at the firm. And I just thought I'd mention some really cool, not cool, but really important stats that many people might be surprised by. But actually, 1 in 5 Canadians will struggle with mental health at one point or another throughout their lifetime, and usually only 1 in 3 actually seek help or support that they need. So it's really important that we end that stigma so that more people, if they're going through something, are able to reach out to people and get that support that they need for whatever they're going through. So that's just something that we really like to emphasize at the firm too, that we do have that culture around openness and supportiveness with regards to mental wellness. And so we really just also want to talk about the different ways that the firm, takes care of its employees regarding its overall wellness. We have so many different resources, so much flexibility, and everything is very individualized by the person. So depending on where your needs are, everything's so individualized. So I'd love to just kind of talk a little bit about what we offer at the firm when you join as an employee. So I guess first and foremost, talking about mental health, we actually do have a monetary support for mental health as well as a benefit for all of our employees. So, as a full-time employee, you do get $2,000 a year, and that goes towards, any sort of mental health need. So if you want to go see a counselor or a psychologist or any sort of therapist, it's all supported there. So you can see a mental health support worker, of up to $2,000 a year. So it's a really great benefit, and we're really proud to say that we provide that to all of our employees. But if you're joining us as a summer intern or a co-op student, you also receive, really great flex benefits that you can use towards mental health as well, or any other type of wellness benefit that you need. So at KPMG, we use a company called League, and they are actually a platform where they have a wellness center. You are basically provided with a pool of money for your benefits, and you can allocate it out to wherever you need based on your individualized wellness. So if you want to put all your money in your lifestyle spending account, you can do that, and you can use that money towards, mental health support. You can use it towards, if you're pretty much anything. If you like to run, you can buy running shoes, you can buy workout equipment, you can buy, like different lessons. You can even use it for vacation. So you can use it on Airbnb or hotels. So it really encompasses such a large range of things. So it's very individualized, and you can really make it what you want and get the support wherever you need in terms of your wellness and mental health through our benefit program. So that's another thing that all of our employees get as well. So whether you're a summer intern or a full-time employee, you do get those benefits. And then in terms of, just managing through those busy seasons, if you're in audit, typically your busy season will be from January to April. So you'll frequently be working a lot of hours. It'll be very busy throughout that period. So because we know our employees work really hard throughout that period, we make sure that everybody gets personal time and vacation time to really recharge and balance that workload, so that you have time for yourself and you have time to, take a step back and rest and do what you need. So all of our employees, all our full-time employees get personal days. So you're able to, take some hours out if you have an appointment, if you have an emergency of any sort, you just want to take a mental health day, you can. We do have personal time for that. And all of our employees actually start at 3 weeks vacation as well as a full-time employee. If you're a summer intern, you also get some vacation and personal days as well. So you'll definitely be taken care of in terms of that work-life balance and getting the chance to, go travel or have a staycation. I guess now during COVID, most of us were doing staycations. But either way, just a time to kind of recharge your batteries as well. And something else, I think that's really important to mention is that we have a lot of flexibility at KPMG depending on, your situation, what's going on. So we have a lot of, workday flexibility. If you're working late one night, oftentimes you can come in a little later. Usually it just is up to your manager in terms of, what, action items you have going on at that time. And it's a very flex culture. So if you, as I said, work late, then you can come in late or leave early. It's very much that way in terms of just our culture in general. So there's a lot of flexibility, which I think really helps with, your mental wellness. But in addition to that, if you're going through a time of your life where, you need to take some time for yourself, or you feel that your workload's too much, you can always go on a reduced working arrangement where you work less hours for a percentage less of your salary. So that's always an option. We also have a lot of support for working parents, particularly throughout COVID. Everybody at KPMG is working virtually right now. So we have a lot of support going on for our working parents. So just to make sure that, they have the support they need while they're working from home and also taking care of their kids as well. And we also have our employee assistance program, which is basically a 24/7 resource where you can call and get, counseling, whether that be for a wide range of topics. It could be financial counseling, it could be mental health, really anything and everything. So it's a really great tool and resource for everybody. So these are just some ways that we support our employees in terms of overall wellness. But, we do have a lot of events and initiatives and tons of things going on throughout the year towards all of these type of wellness activities. So we do, yoga classes, virtual yoga classes we've been doing. We actually had a virtual mental health summit not too long ago, which was a global thing. So we had people tuning in from England, from the UK, from Italy, all over the world, really. Tuning into this mental health summit where we had speakers come in and talk about, the effects of COVID-19 on everyone's mental health, how that is going, and really just have experts talk about some of the key changes this year that we've been going through. So we always have things going on no matter what at the firm. And, I just thought I'd end off my presentation with, what does wellness mean to me personally? I think, wellness is very individualized and it can mean something different to every person. But for me, some things that really give me a lot of happiness and joy and make me feel really relaxed day to day, and really help with my physical and mental well-being. So I have a picture of someone doing some yoga there. It's not me in the picture, but I didn't have a picture of myself doing yoga, so I had to choose a stock picture for that. But yeah, I love doing yoga. I love to run. And, I've been trying to get a little bit more into meditation lately as well. I find it hard to sit and just not think for like a couple minutes, but trying my best. So I find those things really help with my physical well-being, but also ties into my mental well-being as well. Of course, right in the middle there, you can see that's my team, my campus recruitment team that I work with. So those ladies, it's really great to work with them every day, go into work or virtually work with them. It's so nice to have that social connection at work. And we even do things, special events outside of work, or even just take a couple hours off in the morning and hang out. So in that picture, we were actually, we took a few hours off in the morning and we got breakfast together. So this was before COVID. But yeah, it was really really nice that we kind of spend time together and get to know each other. I have a picture of, on the far left there of my feet. So that was actually on a vacation that I took to Vancouver last summer. Really, really important to me to get the chance to travel and explore. So I took a week vacation, went to Vancouver, really enjoyed it. I also love the outdoors, getting outside. So those pictures of the little squirrel and the canoe is from my trip to Algonquin this summer. Really had a nice time just being out in nature. And I really like to paint. So I have a picture of me and my friend. We did a paint night. So just love to get that creativity out as well. Really helps for me anyway. So that's just what wellness looks like to me. And of course it looks different to every person, but yeah, it was really great to kind of share all of that information with you. And, if you have any questions at all, I'm happy to answer, towards the end of the session. So yeah, thanks so much.
Thank you so much for that, Clarissa. I definitely agree. Wellness is different to everyone. We'll be moving on to our next speaker right now. Let me just share my screen again. Okay, there we go. So our next speaker is Megan. She is a client service manager at Baker Tilly, and she'll also be talking about mental health and the well-being in the workplace. You can go ahead whenever you're ready, Megan.
All right, I have a presentation, so if I am able to share my screen, it's showing here that you're still presenting. So is it, yeah, there we go, perfect, wonderful. All right, can everyone see that? Perfect. All right. So accounting for wellness. So like it was mentioned, my name is Megan Hansel, and I'm a client service manager with Baker Tilly KDN. And we are located within Durham region as well as within the Kawarthas. We currently have 4 offices located in Cobourg, Curtis, Peterborough, and Lindsay. And like I mentioned, I'm a client service manager there, a CPA CA. So a little bit about what I'm going to talk about. So hopefully the screen, if that's going to work or not. There we go. A little bit about me. I'll talk a little bit more about Baker Tilly KDN, coping with busy times, maintaining a healthy work-life balance, wellness programs offered at Baker Tilly KDN, and what wellness is to me. So a little bit about me. I am a graduate of the University of Windsor. I always laugh when I do these Ontario Tech Talks because everyone says, oh, are you a graduate of Ontario Tech? And unfortunately, I am too old to be an Ontario Tech graduate in that I went to university before Ontario Tech University existed. So I went to the University of Windsor where I obtained a Bachelor of Commerce degree. I did the co-op option with it. And I obtained my Chartered Professional Accountant designation, the Legacy Chartered Accountant designation in 2009. So I have been practicing for quite some time now. I'm also a licensed public accountant, which means that I can sign off on financial statements that contain assurance, so review engagements as well as audit engagements. And currently I am the chair of the board of directors for the Alzheimer's Society of Durham Region. And next, personally for me, I am married to my wonderful husband, Jay, who is from Pickering, which is why I moved from the Windsor area up here. I have 2 boys. They are 5, Bastion's 5, and Emmerich is 2. And then my dog there, his name is Harley, and I've had him for as long as Jay and I have been married, and he's a great addition to our family. Outside of my working hours, I enjoy playing soccer as well as long distance running. And in 2020, I completed my first full marathon and 2 half marathons, and I did those both, all 3 of them virtually. So registered online, ran them alongside my husband and my boys, and then got the medal in the mail. So a little anticlimactic, but I still got it done. So a little bit about Baker Tilly KDN. So as I mentioned, we are the leading mid-market alternative. So you've likely heard of the Big Four. That's not what we cater to. The clientele is different, but we're referred to as the mid-market alternative. So kind of medium to small size businesses. And as I mentioned, we have a presence in Kawarthas, in Durham, and Northumberland regions, including offices in Peterborough, Lindsay, Curtis, and Cobourg. And I currently work out of the Curtis office. Each one of our individual offices has been a staple or a fixture in their respective communities for a very, very long time. Our legacy firm here was Hobb & Company, and they've been around for nearly 50 years, so a long-standing legacy within the community and giving back to Durham Region specifically for our Curtis office. And within our office, within the KDN world, we have 19 partners and 130 professionals, and we work on a broad range of clients. My specific practice is predominantly audit, and about 50% of it is not-for-profit audit, and then I go into about 40% of review engagements, and then I do some non-assurance work, mainly related to my assurance clients, in that if they need some non-assurance filings, then I'll take part in that as needed. So that's a little bit about who Baker Tilly KDN is. Now a little bit about the meat, if you would, and about how professionals cope with busy times. So first and foremost, stress management. So everybody processes stress in a different way, and it's important to find what works for you and what doesn't work for you. And I can tell each of you from my experience as a university student and then going through my designation and so on, that I had to learn a lot of different stress management tools and tips and tricks, and it evolved. As I grew and as I changed, my stress management changed as well. So my recommendation for each and every one of you is find what works for you that helps you to bring down your stress. Next thing is keeping things organized. So I like to keep my office very neat and tidy, and at the end of the day, I like to clean everything up. And that's one of the ways that I cope, and I know that a lot of the people that I work with use that as well. Another coping mechanism or strategy is to remain physically active. As I mentioned in my introduction, I like to run long distances. So for me, that's my physical outlet. And I know for other people, there's so many different activities, but in order to cope with the busy times, it's of critical importance to have some type of physical activity, whether that's going for a 15-minute walk with your dog or doing a 10-minute yoga video. Being physically active is so important to managing your stress, and I cannot emphasize that to each and every one of you enough. This was touched on in the previous presentation of the importance of meditation. If you haven't looked into this before, I really encourage you to look at it. I often recommend this to a lot of my staff when they can't seem to manage one particular task. If they're bouncing around between 15 different tasks and they're having a really hard time getting one of those tasks done, I encourage them to practice a little bit of meditation. It doesn't have to be for a long time. There's been studies proven that even just a minute of meditation a day can really, really go a long way. And I know for myself personally, every morning I do a little 1 to 5 minute meditation, and that's helped me out exponentially in my work. Another thing to cope with busy times is coming up with to-do lists, and a little subset of that is, within that to-do list, prioritizing what you have to do. I literally fire on all cylinders all throughout the year. They talk about the busy time being January to April. To me, it just shifts. Okay, it doesn't really end, which I know when you're in school, that's not what you want to hear, but it shifts in a different way. So I might not be working as many hours, but those hours go by really, really quickly within a day. And when you're working in a chargeable hour environment, such as professional accounting, you need to make sure that you can be accountable for your time. So every morning when I get into work, I set a priority list for the day, and I figure out what I need to get done within certain chunks of time. And so I always like to say this saying to my staff. It's really important to take things one step at a time. And there's a quote that says, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. So sometimes when I'm staring down the barrel of a really, really big project, if I have a really big audit to review, I might have an audit with 4 or 5 staff that have worked on it, and the files now come together and I have to review it. I just go bit by bit by bit. I set little milestones for myself, and when it comes to that to-do list, set that list up, and then prioritize everything and go from there. And then one of my favorite quotes, and I actually have it up in my office, is that it always seems impossible until it's done. So some of that stress and anxiety that you might get from doing a project, it might not actually, remain there even after you get you might be able to get rid of that stress feeling once that job is done, and it always seems so much more challenging until you've gotten through it. So next, how you maintain a healthy work-life balance, and this is definitely a $1 million question. And one piece of information that I was given by one of the partners that I worked with while I worked in Toronto was keep your head and your heart in the same place. Meaning, don't be out with your friends watching a movie and be thinking about a project. When you're doing something, be present in the moment. When I leave work, and if I'm not planning on taking a piece of work home, like if I have to review a file from home, if I'm not planning on doing that, I don't then kind of log on while my kids are playing and try to work at that point. I will, get on the floor and I'll play dinosaurs with my 5-year-old, or I'll read a story to my 2-year-old. I make sure that I am present in what I'm doing. I also set aside time and stick to it. And this is a really important skill when you start writing your professional exams, to stick to your timelines, okay? If you don't have enough time to finish it, then you need to pick up and move on, because you need to create boundaries. Sometimes you can work with something so long and try to finesse it for so long, and it's no better, and you spend another hour doing it when you could have been doing an hour somewhere else, and that time could have been better spent. And so I also always recommend eat the frog first. Eat the frog. Complete the most challenging task that you have to do within a day first thing. If I have to review a difficult section within a file, I'll always do it first. And I also encourage my staff to do the same, because you're most fresh in the morning, and you've got the most energy in the morning. So eat the frog first, get it over with, get it done with, and you'll be good to go. And then what wellness do we have in place at Baker Tilly KDN? Just like most organizations, we have a benefits provider that provides us a variety of benefits: massage therapy, naturopathic medicine, chiropractor, all of the benefits that each of you would have either through your parents' health programs or through your student associations, the health benefits that are provided to you through there. You'd have access to the same services. And our human resource department encourages the use of different services. So Stronger Minds by Beacon, and then similar to KPMG, we have memberships in a platform called LifeWorks, which is an employee assistance program dedicated to enabling healthier, happier, more productive employees, bringing together an award-winning EAP program that kind of covers all facets of life. And then what does wellness mean to me? So this is what I do for me. And again, this is from years of practice. This is going through multiple busy seasons, working, 60 to 70 to 80 hours a week, finding what works for me. A lot of trial and error. So if something doesn't work for you, I recommend, trying until you get something that feels good for you. I cannot tell you the number of times I have failed in trying to, improve my mental health, my physical health, and all of that. Just find something that works for you. So for me, it's important eating well. So at a minimum, every day, 5 to 10 servings of fruits and veggies a day. For me, that's really important too, because then I want to put that onto my kids as well. My kids, my 2 boys, eat 5 to 10 as well. And I always try to have a minimum of 100 ounces of water. I know it sounds like a lot, but you know, when you're sipping on it through the day, it's not too bad. I focus on getting plenty of rest. I make sure that 8 hours of sleep is a must every night, and I stick to that. Meditating daily, it varies 1 to 5 minutes daily. Turning off my electronics while I'm working, including emails. So when I'm in the office, my cell phone is away and my email is turned off. So when I'm working on a file, I have nothing else to distract me. So, you know, if someone needs to get a hold of me, if someone needs me and it's important enough, they'll find a way. You know, I have a phone in my office that if someone needs to call me, they'll call me, or they'll come by my office and they'll see me if they need me. My children's schools and their daycares and my husband all know that. And those are the most important people to me. My parents know that. Everyone knows that. So they don't try to get me on my cell phone. They will get me on the landline. And then also seeking out medical professional helps, and I do this on a monthly basis. I see a therapist, you know, to work through my stress and whatnot. I see a naturopathic doctor as well as a massage therapist on a monthly basis. And then, I lost one there. Let's see if I can go back. There we go. And one thing that's super important to me is self-help books. And I know this sounds like a really odd thing, but through a public library membership, so if you're a member for me, I'm a part of the Whitby Library, which is absolutely free. You can get free audiobooks. So through Overdrive and Libby, I'm fairly confident that most of you have cell phones. And I listen to audiobooks all the time. And the reason I do that is because there's really relevant nuggets of information in some of these self-help books that have guided me through some really difficult times in my life. And so I just included my little book list of some of the books that I've actually found so incredibly engaging and helpful. And honestly, I listen to them. I have a 15-minute commute door to door from work. I just throw it in, you know, on my radio in my car, and you know, within a couple of weeks I'm done an entire book, and I've had those useful bits of information while I'm running. I also listen to books, but if you're commuting at any point, then, you know, listening to audiobooks can be really great. And so these are some of my book lists. So the 5-Second Rule by Mel Robbins is really great. Girl, Wash Your Face and Girl, Stop Apologizing from Rachel Hollis is really great. 13 Things Mentally Strong People Don't Do by Amy Morin. The Power of Habit and Atomic Habits. Those two books are really great at developing new habits. So if you're trying to start a meditation practice or trying to start a workout regimen, looking into those books can be really helpful. And then You Are a Badass by Jen Sincero, I also find absolutely fantastic. So that's great. And I think that's it for me. Hopefully that gave you guys a little bit of insight into me and what it would be like to work at Baker Tilly KDN.
Thank you so much for that, Megan. I definitely agree. And I actually have read The 5-Second Rule and I've really enjoyed it. It's such a good book. Thank you. Okay, so I'll be moving on to our third speaker. So he's also a CPA and a CA, and he's currently the senior auditor at the Office of the Auditor General of Ontario. So it's Daniel Sardar. And whenever you're ready, Daniel, you can start speaking. I'll just stop presenting right now. Yeah, there you go. The board is all yours.
Great. Sorry, Elsa, did you get my slides, or do I just have to share my screen here?
I can share them right now. Give me one.
Yeah,
second.
do you mind? Because I like to talk with my hands a lot too, so it helps when you're
I can do it.
presenting.
Yeah. No problem at all.
All right. All righty. Well, thank you, Ilsa, Hannah, for inviting me out. So I guess I'm the first alumni on the panel, so I guess we can start off with the next slide there. So a bit about me. I graduated from the accounting program at UOIT in 2015. After graduating, I started as a full-time associate at PricewaterhouseCoopers in the Oakville office, which deals with our private clients, essentially. I was there at the office for about 4 years in the assurance group. In that time, I wrote the CFE in 2017, which I passed. And by June 2018, I had earned my CPA CA designation. After 4 lovely years in external audit, it was time for a change, and I made the move to the Office of the Auditor General of Ontario. And what I do there essentially, it's a bit different than external audit in that we take a holistic look at a company. We look at the operations, and a lot of these companies, they get government funding, so they get your taxpayer money. My job is to go in there and make sure there's no wasteful spending, everything is prudent, and if there's any efficiencies that I can find as an auditor, I'll make the recommendations and they get published in our annual report, which should be coming out next month. So it's been a great year and a half thus far, and yeah, looking forward to the next year as well. Next slide, please. So this was a really exciting topic for me for a lot of reasons. I've been asked to come back and talk to students about what it's like to be a CPA, or how do you get to the Big Four, et cetera, et cetera. But this topic is really close to my heart because mental health is not something that just CPAs struggle with. I remember being a university student and I had issues then too. And I'm not ashamed to say it, I suffer from anxiety. So it's not just something that affects us, it's something that affects a lot of people. And I think the Accounting Association did a great job highlighting this important issue, and that yes, the CPA designation, although very important, there are hurdles to get to it. And having people like us out here and give you guys practical steps on how to overcome these mental challenges, I think it's outstanding. So kudos to all you guys. Next slide. So, my goal is not to give you a laundry list of things to basically do. I'm not here on a corporate mandate to sell something to you. These are just the steps that worked for me, as I progressed through my career, first as a student and then as a CPA. So, staying healthy at the office. I've got the picture of the Office cast down there. I love that show, but my advice to you is do not follow anything they do when it comes to mental health, because it's all backwards. In any case, first and foremost, I think both Clarissa and Megan touched on this. Ask for help. There are HR professionals, very educated, very good at what they do, and they really should be your first resource if you feel like you're struggling mentally. When you get to the audit busy seasons, and it doesn't even have to be big for an accounting firm, a busy season is long anywhere you go, mid-size, small, large. So if you feel like you're really drowning in work, you certainly have a support system in place, paid employees that can help you overcome that challenge. Now, I was a senior at PricewaterhouseCoopers, and I learned really early on I should be using the budget that they give me on my staff as well. So a lot of people are afraid of spending the extra money on their associates because the manager might not approve the expense. I tell you, go out there, take coffee breaks, go out there, get snacks, bond as a team, go out there, because $20, $30 a week, it makes no difference to the overall budget. And some of these clients, we bill them so much money, it gets lost. So I'm not advocating for abusing the budget system. I'm just saying there's always an option available to you. Always run it by your manager if you can go out for coffee. Bring coffee for the client and maybe take the team out too. It's a very good way of team bonding and, getting up, getting out of the room, getting some exercise, and just, taking a break from the norm. Next piece of advice, make virtual connections. So a lot of us are working virtually right now, and as you can tell, I'm a bit of an extrovert, and I'm not adjusting very well to working from home. So I have about a close-knit group of friends, about 15 to 20 of us. Every Fridays at 2:30, we hop on Microsoft Teams, we shut everything out, and we just talk about life. We do that for about 30 minutes because in lieu of seeing all these people, that's the next best option. You're working long hours, you all have deliverables, expectations, etc., but you need that social interaction as well to really support your mental health. And I certainly encourage you guys, if you can take advantage of the technology at your disposal, be it Zoom, Microsoft Teams, or Google Hangouts. Start that virtual chat with your colleagues, see how their days are going, whose dog is barking too much, whose baby's not stopped crying, and whatever. It really gives you a break from the norm, and it gets you to connect with the people you haven't seen in a long, long time. Next piece of advice is learn to say no. I spent about 4 years at PricewaterhouseCoopers and 1 year here, and I've always been very driven. I've always wanted to exceed and be above average. And sometimes what that means is you're just going to keep saying yes to whatever work people throw at you. A lot of times, your managers might be overwhelmed and they might need some help. And of course, if you have the capacity, you certainly want to help your colleagues out. But you don't want to overdo it to the point that it becomes detrimental to your current work. So really early on, I kept saying yes to this, that, and that. But ultimately, I realized, it was just too much on my plate. So you want to be very realistic with the promises you make. And if you feel like there isn't enough time in the day to handle everyone's requests, just learn to say no. People will respect you far more than if you say yes and unfortunately you can't deliver. The next point actually coincides with this one as well. Learn to manage your manager. Sometimes people that are reviewing your work, they're burdened with a lot of files at the same time. And certainly when you're on an audit, the turnarounds can be very quick sometimes. You're at a client site for 2 weeks or maybe 3 weeks. You need to get the work reviewed and then move on to the next file. The last thing you want is things to linger and then you having to go back when you're no longer on the client. So my strategy was to set up a calendar invite for my managers at the end of each week, which basically what it does is I'm like a glorified assistant to them. I basically put in their calendars, hey, time to review my file for about a 2-hour slot. And then what this does is, it gives them an opportunity to, put everything aside and realize, okay, I've got another commitment here. Let me deal with this now. So, next week I'm not overwhelmed. So I'm taking steps to help my manager manage his workload as well. Take advantage of work programs. This is very crucial, guys. For instance, taking unpaid time off. Sometimes if you're not busy at the work, you can actually request your manager or your partners to take unpaid time off. Essentially what it is it's a leave. You're not paid, but sometimes when you need more time off on top of the 3 weeks that you're offered, for instance, a lot of companies are flexible with that, especially when it's non-peak periods for them. Don't be afraid to ask for that perk. It's certainly there. Just make sure you run it by the managers and resource management. And I tell everyone to take full advantage of that. Other work programs I've taken advantage of personally, massages. At first it felt really awkward going in there and getting a massage, but trust me, it relieves so much stress, so much tension, and I actually became good talking buddies with my masseuse as well. So things I can't talk about with my friends and my colleagues, I can talk with him. So there's always an open ear, so it's certainly an outstanding service. Take full advantage of that. And lastly, currently at the Office of the Auditor General, we are given a fitness allowance. So what we have done is we've created a team, a trampoline dodgeball team, if you can believe it. So the point is, get some people together, enroll in a sport, get some exercise. And the thing about trampoline dodgeball is it is so stress relieving. Not only are you getting some serious hang time, when you throw balls really, really hard at other people, it takes a lot of aggression out of you too. So I encourage everyone to try it at least once. It's actually a lot of fun. Acts of kindness. I say this because when the COVID pandemic first started off, a lot of people, especially the frontline workers, they needed help. They needed financial support. And, certainly I'm working now, I'm not a student. I certainly earn money. So, I started donating, more than I usually would. And what that does, and I think there's research behind this as well, you actually feel really good about yourself when you start donating money to a useful cause. I did the same thing at Tim Hortons, believe it or not. I used to pay for the coffee for the person who's behind me, so when they get to the checkout, their coffee's been paid for. So it's very small tokens of kindness that kind of release like this happiness thing in your brain, and you feel really, really good about it. So if you haven't tried it, I certainly encourage you to do it. And find something therapeutic. So I come from a South Asian background culture, and my mom's kind of pampered me, and like she's just like loved me all my life. I've never really learned how to cook, believe it or not. So when I went away for school, because I live in Oakville and UOIT is in Oshawa, I did not know how to cook food. So something therapeutic I learned was learning how to cook. What it does is for an hour or 2 hours, it takes your mind off of the daily grind, be it studies, be it work, and you can focus on something very different. And it's not only therapeutic. I'm learning new things every day, and my survival skills have increased tenfold. So that's something that works for me really, really well. Let's move on to the next slide. So I don't want to just leave this to how I've been able to cope in the office setting. Not too long ago, I was a student just like you guys, sitting where you're sitting and listening to someone else up here, give some advice. So my first thing to you guys is take a deep breath, right? It's a 4-year journey. It's not a sprint, it's a marathon. Don't burn yourself out. I realized that, I actually asked Ilsa, she told me a lot of you guys are 4th-year students, and, some of you might be deciding, do I enroll in the graduate diploma program? Or where am I going to work next year? It's daunting. It really, it takes a toll on you. So take a deep breath and just know that, things always work out. And that's my next piece of advice. Don't be afraid of failure. I can honestly tell you this, I've made it through school, I've made it through the firm, I'm at another office now, but I've gotten to where I am in life through failing time and time again. No one is built perfect. People are resilient in nature. I encourage you to make mistakes, but don't get down on yourself, when something doesn't work out. I've had bad midterms. I've had bad interviews. I remember one time one firm sent me 2 rejection letters, not just one. It might have been my mistake, but it hurts just as much, right? So don't be afraid of failure. Pick yourself back up, dust off, and know that better days are coming. There's always a rainbow at the end of the thunderstorm. I think that's what the saying is. Next, get involved on campus. I was involved with the UOAA. It's called the Ontario Tech Accounting Association now. I had to look at my notes in case I don't screw that up. I actually was in Hannah's position. I was the president. And I'll tell you what led me to that. As I mentioned at the top of the presentation, I actually suffer from anxiety. And you can't maybe tell now, I present just fine, but I hated public speaking. I was frightened by it. I remember Professor Thurber's first year business communications class, and we were presenting in a group of 4 people. It was my turn to talk, and my leg is shaking. The thigh all the way down to the toe, I am shaking, I'm frightened. We get through the presentation, and then I realized that can't happen again, because that was embarrassing. People saw me shaking in my boots. So one way to get over that was to get involved on campus. So the first thing I did was I became a peer tutor. When you're a peer tutor, sometimes you're tutoring a couple of students at the same time. So the manager at the time, I went up to her and I said, can I make presentations to you as I would be tutoring the students? So, she would sit there, during work hours, spend about 10, 20 minutes with me. And, we would talk about, my presentation skills, what I'm doing well, what I'm not doing well, give me really good constructive feedback, which I was able to implement and tutor students. So that was amazing. The second thing that helped me a lot was, obviously getting involved with the Accounting Association. You meet so many people, you learn how to network, you really get your name out there, and you can really be comfortable being uncomfortable because it's a safety net. you're still a student, right? Life's not going to end if you screw up someone's name, or if you forget a talking point. It's a very good platform for you to go out there and try something courageous. And I started off as a first year liaison. I don't know if you guys have that anymore. I did that, and then I started making more presentations in class. And then after that, I got really comfortable to the point where I was encouraged to run for president. And public speaking became one of my strengths. So I went from something that I wasn't good at to something I was really good at, because I took the steps to remediate that by getting involved on campus. Find a mentor. There's always going to be people that have been there, done that, right? We have at our office, at the office of the Auditor General, first-year associates that come in. If they've never audited a day in their life, they don't know what a working paper is. They don't know what documentation is. They don't even know how to talk to a client. So, I know what it was like to be in their shoes. So you use a bit of empathy and you coach them, and you be kind with them. You be gentle with them. So same thing happened with me when I was at school and university. I had really good third and fourth year students that were doing really, really well. I reached out to them, and they were always there for me. They were very generous with their time, and they were very professional, and they always showed me the different paths. And when I was a student, it wasn't just accounting, it was finance, marketing, HR. You want to figure out what works for you, right? So by making those connections, by finding a mentor, ultimately it led me to accounting, which I made a career out of. Traveling, if you can afford it, I truly encourage you to travel, because you're really resilient, as I mentioned. Some of the best moments in my life have been lost in Barcelona, not knowing how to read Spanish, or being in France and not knowing how to order food in French. I only took French until grade 8. That's it. So, it's very therapeutic, because, you get away from the daily grind of work, from school, and you're, building another skill set altogether, how to be resilient, how to figure your way out in a very uncomfortable situation. So traveling, I really enjoyed it. I encourage you to do it as well. And finally, use the resources at Ontario Tech. I'm sure you have a support staff in place there as well, who can certainly help you and guide you through some mental, through any of the issues that you may be facing. I've been there, and sometimes all you need is a helping hand, someone who can hear you out, and there's certainly very good resources available at your school as well. Next slide. Well, that pretty much wraps up my portion of the presentation. Again, kudos to all you guys for coming out and listening to a very important topic that not only affects CPAs, but everyone in general. And you can connect with me on LinkedIn. And if you have any questions at the end, we can certainly run through them. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Daniel. That was really informative. I'm sure we all found that very relatable. I know most of the attendees are in their fourth year, and it's definitely nerve-wracking. I'm not, but I can understand. So our next presenter is Heather Mason, and she's also a CPA. I'll share my screen right now. There we go. Okay, and she's an intermediate accountant currently at BDO, and you can speak whenever you're ready. I'll stop presenting. There you go.
Okay, hi guys. So I'm not a CPA yet. I actually just wrote the CFE this past September, so hopefully I'll be a CPA soon. Let me present here. Okay. Can everyone see? Okay. So just to give a brief overview and introduction of myself, my name's Heather Mason. I'm an intermediate accountant in the Assurance and Accounting Department at the Barrie BDO office. I graduated UIT in 2018 and started my journey with BDO about 2 years ago. I'm here tonight to talk about wellness and accounting and some of my personal experiences and the program that programs that BDO has to help support their employees. So with that said, I hope you guys all enjoy it. Okay, so what is wellness to me? So previously mentioned, wellness is really multidimensional. So it can mean different things to everyone. For me personally, wellness is a healthy mind and a healthy body. So this means a healthy, balanced diet, exercising regularly, getting enough sleep, and of course, for me, my morning cup of coffee, as a lot of people I'm sure can relate. So COVID has had a significant impact on how I maintain my wellness goals. For instance, I've been working from home since middle of March, so not seeing my coworkers and the stuff that normally brings more joy to doing your daily job. There's also the social distancing and the gyms being shut down. So this has all kind of really forced me into trying to adapt and find other creative ways on how I can help achieve my wellness goals in the new normal, as they say. So this actually kind of brings me to my next slide. So I just wanted, these are some of the things that I do or try to do all year round, not just in busy season. I think they really go hand in hand too, as well as when I was in your guys' shoes in university and trying to manage your work, your studies, your personal life. So I hope that you guys take some of these and these kind of stick with you. So the first point is all about managing your energy and not your time. So I read this article a few years back and it discussed this point, and it's words that I live by ever since I came across that article. So typically when you're overworked or your workload increases, what we naturally do is put more hours in. So this is especially true during busy season. It's especially true when you guys are in your exam time, or with an accounting student, really feels like it's all year round. So we do this by sacrificing things that make us happy or that contribute to our overall well-being. So this then, it makes us have a hard time focusing at work. It makes us have a hard time focusing at home in our personal lives, which then it makes us less productive and results in us spending more time on these things that would have normally not taken us as long. So when you can manage your energy by not sacrificing those things that make you happy, whether it's going for that run or cooking the healthy meals, you can become more focused and more productive, which then allows you to achieve your wellness goals. And then in turn, it's just all, positive vibes. So it's good to really try to focus on managing your energy and not your time. So the second point is all about creating a routine that works for you and to stick with it the best you can. The important thing here is to create a realistic routine. I know myself, I tend to be an optimist, so I like to think I can accomplish a lot more in 1 week, but when it comes down to it, it's almost always false. So I find when I'm more realistic with myself on what tasks I can accomplish, I'm not only able to actually accomplish more, but I don't have that dissatisfied feeling when you're looking at that long list of things that you didn't get done because really it wasn't realistic for you to finish in the first place. And again, creating a routine, once you get into those habits, they just start becoming automatic. So you don't have to make the conscious decision between, should I go to the gym today or should I work more hours? You'll just naturally just go to the gym instead of making that conscious decision. So point 3 is prioritizing your time, as mentioned by the previous presenters in their slides. So I'm not going to spend too long on this point because I know you all know how to prioritize your time between Professor Jones and Professor Friedland, which brings me to point 4, which is learn how to separate yourself from work. So for me, this has been especially difficult since working from home. I don't know if you can tell, but my office is now in my living room, so it makes it hard to step away from work in those busy times. So to help me try to cope with this is I try to come up with hobbies outside of work. So again, so for me, that's maintaining an active lifestyle and getting outside, going for a run, walk. It could be reading, could be cooking, whatever it is, just to try to help you keep your mind off work and try to step away so you're not just always thinking about doing work and always actually working. So those are just some of the key pointers that have helped me through not only university, but also getting through public accounting. And which brings me to my last slide. So I'm just going to briefly go over some wellness programs that BDO has to help support their employees. So some of these I've actually used and they've really helped me, and I found them to be very useful myself. So they have a pretty list of comprehensive programs. I'm only going to touch on a few here. I'll go into more detail on the ones that I've personally used. So they have the Real Life Matter program, which offers, similar to KPMG and Baker Tilly, which is kind of a customizable benefit plans that help suit your individual needs. They also have a group RSP program that's really great to help you meet your financial goals, which I think plays a really large part of your well-being, kind of takes off that financial stress. The Wellness Reimbursement Program is another one of my favorites. It reimburses a certain percentage of what for any expenses that relate to wellness related activities. So what's really great is they've kind of updated their policies to reflect some of the changes of COVID. So for instance, you would normally submit your gym membership for reimbursement, but now with the gyms closed or the majority of gyms closed, they've allowed you to claim any money that you've spent on at home, like workout equipment or anything. So that's really great. That's helped me through this time of kind of maintaining a healthy lifestyle, which is really great. For mental health, they have a program called Not Myself Today. So what this is, it's essentially a digital portal that provides resources and tools to help promote mental health and also create awareness. So you can access educational videos, live and pre-recorded webinars, and also learning modules. So it's not just for if you're struggling from mental health yourself, but it also, if you want to have a better understanding of mental health, it's really great to just kind of help end the stigma and make you more aware of others. So they also have an employee and family assistant program, so similar to KPMG. So this BDO is partnered with different corporations that allows you to call and speak to counseling professionals to help kind of guide you through the appropriate services that you require. And then again, they also offer some financial webinars to help reduce those financial stress that may impact your well-being. And then another one of my favorites is BDO provides access to meditation programs and physical exercises. So I've actually done a couple of these on my breaks, and I've found it's really helped reduce some stress on those busy days. And it's really worth, you might have 10 hours of work to do, but it's really worth taking that hour out of your day to just step away from work and kind of recharge and then go back to work after. And also, this is kind of on a side note, not really to do with BDO, but if anyone's ever used the Headspace app, I really recommend it. It's really kind of great if you're just learning how to meditate or if you're interested in it. I think it's a really great app. So that kind of brings me to my last slide, or my end of the presentation. So I just want to say thank you again for listening, and thank you for the Accounting Association for having me. It's been great, and I think it's really great that we're discussing more openly about mental health and wellness. And so, yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much, Heather. That was super insightful. Thank you. Well, thank you. That brings us to the end of our speakers for the evening. We appreciate everyone taking their time, especially the speakers tonight. Absolutely fantastic insights from everybody. Hearing from some of our sponsors has been amazing. And for anyone, I know that everyone's struggling with virtual school right now. If you need anything at all, if you're looking to be connected in our mentorship program, feel free to reach out to me at any time. We're going to open the floor up to questions. If anyone has any questions, feel free to direct them, either speak or talk in the chat, and I'm sure our speakers would be happy to answer them.
Hello. I just had a general question for like all the presenters today. As like a future, hopefully intern, what was like the biggest challenge you guys face on like your first week or so as like a fresh intern?
I can take that one on. It's been some
All
time,
right.
but great question. And I actually experienced this because I jumped around a little bit. I've always been with Baker Tilly, but jumped around offices. And so when I first started, I was really gung-ho and tried to do a lot more than what I was capable of doing, which was not good. And tried to impress my managers more than what I was capable of. And so that was probably the biggest downfall for me, because the reality is, as a accounting intern in your first like full-time role, I'm going to be frank with you, you don't know much about the working world. And so, I tried to bite off more than I could chew. And so that was really stressful for me because I was trying to be everything to everyone. So my biggest recommendation is to pace yourself. You are going to have to work long hours. There is no way around that. I've been doing this for 15 years, and during busy season, I sometimes work 70 to 80 hours a week, and my kids forget who I am, but you know what I mean? It also has its benefits. I've got a great career. I work for a great firm, and I know the other speakers can say the same. And it's worth it in the end. But avoid burning yourself out with trying to do too much too fast. It's important to be eager, but at the same time, just finding that balance is super important.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you for the question, Matthew. Does anyone have any other questions? And if not, I'll let everyone go for the evening because I know we've been up for 14 hours. So. All right, well, if there's no more questions, I appreciate everyone for coming. I'm sure you can connect with our speakers on LinkedIn. They'll be happy, I'm assuming, to answer any questions. But thank you guys again, and keep your eyes out for our CPA night networking registrations that will be going out this week. Have a great night.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks.
Thanks, guys. Great job.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks.
I think that went really well. So, Ilsa, I think that you're on mute.
I was saying I'm really happy with it.
And I want you guys to just know, as executives, for the executives still here, I appreciate how engaged you guys are, like nodding and saying stuff in the chat. I can't wait to see everyone's beautiful faces next year, but most of you are fourth years, which really sucks. So, yeah. All right. Thank you, everybody, for coming. I'll see everyone at CPA night and our team-wide meeting November 12th. Have a lovely night, guys.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Everyone is good to leave, just say.
I realized I forgot to stop recording.